Welcome to Real Rockford Files, for tales of the paranormal, supernatural, and the flat-out unbelievable. Happy New Year, everyone, and thank you to all who liked, commented, shared, and subscribed in 2025. I hope to make 2026 as interesting and unbelievable. Here's all of my short videos of 2025 together. I hope you enjoy, and cheers to a new year.
Looks like someone's peeking in my house, right? I'm on the second story. The sun's shining on the telephone pole outside the window at just the right angle. That shit creeped me the hell out. I was like, what the fuck? What the fuck? But just a telephone pole. It's like right there. Yep. Creepy shadow pole. Okay, I meant to make this video a few days ago, but I figured a little bit more time actually wouldn't help the cause. Now check this out. So I got this bread a while back where the expiration date is September 20th. Today's October 7th. And I opened it around the same time I bought it, which was before that date. So it had plenty of time to grow mold or smell funny or whatever. I open it up, it smells the same, it looks exactly the same, no mold growing anywhere on it. Yep, still smells like regular bread, or at least what regular bread smells like nowadays. How many of you people are out there actually paying attention to this? When your food is mostly not food anymore. Bugs won't touch it, mold won't touch it. I've had meat from Burger King and McDonald's that mice won't eat. They'll eat the bread around it, but they won't eat the burger. Is it too much to ask to just have some real food? Raynham Hall in Norfolk, England is said to be haunted by the Brown Lady, an apparition reportedly wearing a flowing brown dress. The ghost is often thought to be Dorothy Walpole, who died in 1726. In December 1936, photographers working for Country Life claimed to see figures descending the staircase. One Indra Shira insisted he saw a vapory form take shape just moments before the shutter was triggered. When the film was developed, the negative showed a translucent figure on the stairs. Harold Price, a paranormal investigator, later interviewed the photographers and said he was impressed by their sincerity and lack of obvious motive to fake the figure. Skeptics have countered with claims of double exposure, lens smudges, or tricks of the light, but the photo remains one of the most famous allegedly ghost images in history. So does this look like a messed up photo to you? Or something's actually there? On the night of October 11, 1973, two men, Charles Hickson and Calvin Parker, went fishing off a pier along the Pascagoula River in Jackson County, Mississippi. They were on the west bank of the river when dusk settled in. As they fished, they claimed to hear a strange whirring or buzzing sound emanating from the air around them. They observed an oval-shaped craft roughly 30 feet across and 8-10 feet high or so. From this craft, they claimed to see three humanoid beings emerge. These beings, they said, had pale, wrinkled skin, crab-like pincers instead of hands, pointed ears, and elongated, somewhat bulbous heads. According to the men, they floated and didn't walk. They were taken under the craft and subjected to examination. Hickson described a scanning eye mechanism gliding over his body, while Parker later recounted that the experience felt invasive, terrifying, and out of their control. Over the years, both men stuck with their story. Hickson died in 2011 without ever recanting. Parker attended UFO conferences and died in 2023. A couple, Amber and her husband, say they were driving down a dirt road in Arizona about 20 miles out in the woods while searching for a missing girl. Using a spotlight at night, they claimed they saw a huge, hairy creature roughly 75 yards away. They describe it as 7 feet tall, weighing perhaps 400 pounds, with a wide frame and broad shoulders. Its hair was matted, white and brown, and it had a leathery, hairless face. The creature's eyes allegedly reflected a golden color. The couple say it just stood there staring at them. After a moment, they backed away and left. This is one of many stories that don't have corroborating video or physical evidence. But look at this thing. If you see this in the woods at night, you might forget you have a phone. You might forget you need to take a picture. you might forget that you're not supposed to poop your pants. On December 1st, 1987, a retired police officer using the pseudonym Philip Spencer was walking across Ilkley Moor in West Yorkshire, England. He claimed he saw a small humanoid figure up ahead on the trail, dark, about 4 feet tall, with an oversized head and long, thin arms. Spencer says he raised his camera, snapped one photograph of the figure before it ran off. Moments later, he reported seeing a saucer-shaped UFO rise from the moor and disappear into the sky. The photograph became famous in UFO circles. To believers, it shows an alien figure. Skeptics argue it's blurry, could be human, or cardboard cutout. Looks like it's smiling in this photo. I don't know what I'm looking at, I don't know what it is, but one thing we can all be sure of. It's definitely an alien. Please consider subscribing. I have 1 million subscribers. They just haven't found me yet. In 1963, the Reverend Kenneth F. Lord took a photo inside the Church of Christ the Consoler at Newby Hall in North Yorkshire, England. He claimed the image showed a pale-robed figure standing in the doorway of the church, widely interpreted as a 16th century monk. The photo became known as the Spectre of Newby Church. Some ghost believers say the figure is more than just a trick of the light. Critics argue it could be double exposure, person in a costume, or a photographic artifact. Now let's just assume that this is 100% real. How evil did you have to be in your lifetime as a monk for your specter to have a melting face like this? That's just not normal. So what do you think? A real specter or a reverend with a real good imagination and an awesome Halloween costume? In March 1965, French photographer Robert Laseric claimed he discovered a large serpentine creature resting in a lagoon near Hook Island, Australia. He took multiple photographs of it. The images show a long, snake or tadpole-like creature, partially submerged, its body curving through shallow water. Laseric's story is widely cited in cryptozoology. Some call it among the best photographic evidence of a real sea serpent. Skeptics counter that creature might have been an eel, floating weed, or a camera artifact. Personally, I think it's just oil or something spilt into the water down here and then trailing up towards that boat where the person who probably dumped it into the water to begin with. So what do you think? A real sea creature or an Australian pulling a fast one on us? You decide. And please consider subscribing. Don't forget to subscribe. Billy Meyer, a Swiss contactee, claimed to have been in regular contact with extraterrestrial beings from the star cluster Pleiades during the 1970s. In support of his claims, he presented a series of photographs which he said show alien beam ships hovering over a Swiss countryside. While Meyer's photographs became widely circulated among UFO enthusiasts, they are highly controversial. In the controversy, Billy Meyer's own admission that he recreated some of the photos. Likewise, his own wife admitted that he reshaped garbage can lids and garbage cans, the old metal ones, I think they were made out of aluminum, to make some of these ships. Now, when I first found this story years ago, I believed the guy 100%. But he shot himself in the foot, not once, but twice, and now lost all credibility. But what if he was visited? 1 million subscribers. Come find me. On May 11, 1950, Evelyn Trent was walking near her farm in Oregon when she spotted a slow-moving metallic disc in the sky. She alerted her husband, Paul Trent, who ran inside to get his camera. He snapped 2 photos of the object before it sped off. The images, often called the Trent-McKinville UFO photos, were published widely, including in Life magazine, and remain among the most famous alleged UFO photographs. Analysis over the years has been mixed. Some photo analysts, like Bruce Maccabee, argued the negatives show no obvious tampering and that the object appears to be a real, solid craft. Skeptics, on the other hand, suggest the object was a model suspended from wires or a hoax, citing the proximity of power lines in the shots, which I would call total BS on the skeptics there. The wires are in the foreground, the craft is in the background, way farther away. What's it hanging from? So I walked to the store today. I walk everywhere I go because I don't have a car. Who needs them anyways, right? But anyways, I come out the store with my small amount of groceries, which I can't carry much. Pretty weak. And there's a guy standing on the sidewalk, kind of staring at me like he's waiting for me to walk past. I'm like, oh crap, I don't got enough cigarettes. Usually it's a stranger talks to you on public around here, they just want a cigarette. I'm like, damn, I ain't got none. But I get about 5 feet from him, and he's looking at me strange, and I nod hello, and he's like, you look just like Jesus. You look just like Jesus. Like, stunned looking, kept on going. I thought that was really cool. Best compliment I've gotten in a while. So you think? Do I look like me? He is my hero.
80 and almost 200 years ago,
A photograph taken by paranormal photographer William H. Mumler in 1872 purportedly shows the ghost of Abraham Lincoln standing behind his widow, Mary Todd Lincoln. The image circulated widely and became a legendary spirit photograph, claimed by supporters to be genuine evidence of ghosts. However, critics point out the photo may have been produced through a double exposure trick, and Mumler was eventually tried for fraud, but not convicted. So when it comes to the double exposure claims, I have this question. How would it be done without him having a photo of Abraham Lincoln already in this exact position with his hands placed like that? I looked at all the different Abraham Lincoln photos I could find. I couldn't find one with his hands in that exact position right there. Pretty neat. Don't forget to subscribe.
click subscribe if you dare.
Security guard Pierre Fortunato Zanfretta was on patrol in the Genoa Mountains when he encountered 4 unusual lights in the garden of a house. He approached, saw a red oval craft over 10 meters wide, and then claimed to meet tall beings over 3 meters with mottled skin, yellow triangular eyes, and claw-like feet. Under regressive hypnosis, he later claimed 11 abductions between 1978 and 81, and the story generated books, TV shows, and public debate. While photo evidence of this case is weaker than some others, it is still cited in Italian UFO literature as one of the most unusual home area close encounter claims. Now, this story has a lot more interesting points than I can fit into a short, so this weekend I'm going to make a long video for this one. It's actually pretty awesome. So don't forget to hit the bell icon for notifications. It's going to be a good one. Here's Johnny! This next photo is taken at the Stanley Hotel, 2016, Estes Park, Colorado, USA. In April 2016, tourist Henry Yao snapped a panoramic photo in the hotel's lobby and later noticed a faint figure standing at the top of the stairs, despite no one being visible there at the time. The apparition of a woman can be seen standing at the top of the stairs. Pretty clear. The Stanley Hotel, famed for inspiring The Shining, has long been considered one of America's most haunted hotels. Paranormal investigators argue the photo shows a genuine apparition. Critics counter it might simply be a ghost image of a person captured by a slow pan or motion blur. She don't look blurry to me. If it was a panoramic view and that was a person that wasn't supposed to be there, wouldn't she be a little more stretched out? But I'm no photography expert. What do you think? Click subscribe or I'll be dropped on my head. In the year 1900, a photograph was taken of a young woman named Ellen in Edinburgh, Scotland. On the developed print appears a strange phantom hand resting on her shoulder, 3 fingers and a thumb, that no one present at the time recalls seeing or touching her. This hand, on this shoulder, right here. Photographic expert Dr. Vernon Harrison examined the negatives and reported there were no indications of tampering. Skeptics argue the image might simply be a long exposure blur or an accidental overlay, but for many, the photograph remains an eerie piece of ghost evidence. So what say you? Real evidence of the paranormal? Photography trickery? Or photobombed by a member of the Addams family. It does have quite the resemblance to Thing. Good Lord, that's disturbing. Born in 1908, Daisy and Violet Hilton entered the world joined at the hip. 2 souls, 1 body. Sold as infants to a carnival owner. They spent their lives on display, smiling for crowds that whispered and stared. On stage, they danced in perfect rhythm. Off stage, they dreamed of freedom they'd never taste. Years later, forgotten and living alone, a winter illness struck. Daisy died first. Violet stayed alive for days, still attached, unable to move, unable to call for help, forced to lie beside her sister's silent body until death finally took her too. When the police found them, the room was quiet, the air was still. 2 sisters, inseparable in life and in death. Don't forget to subscribe. Psst, don't forget to sub. This one takes place at Worstead Church in Norfolk, England, in 1975. A visitor named Diane Bertlet was praying, and her husband snapped a photo of her. Later, when she looked at the developed image, she noticed a figure behind her. A woman in old-fashioned light clothing and a bonnet. The couple learned that the church had a local legend of a white lady ghost who appears when someone nearby needs healing. The image was examined. The figure appears on the negative and no obvious double exposure lines were reported. Supporters say this counts as genuine ghost photo evidence. Skeptics argue it might simply be a passerby or trick of the light. Whether you believe it or not, it's a quick, eerie story that adds to the long list of ghost photos out there. Reminds me of the gypsies from the old Wolfman movies. On the night of the full moon, you shall be cursed. Don't forget to subscribe. In 2018, 15-year-old Troy Vance from New Carlisle, Ohio, snapped a photo of his truck at sunrise, just because he liked the view. But when he zoomed in later, he says he noticed the face of a little boy peering through the windshield, as if sitting on the passenger seat. Troy recounted there was no one in the truck at the time, and that local lore claims a young boy drowned in a nearby lake in the early 1900s, raising his hope, or dread, that this might be the boy's ghost. After that, he said the strange things started happening around the vehicle. Odd scents, unexplained shadows, bangs on the truck. He's left wondering whether the ghost is attached to the truck or something about him. I've seen a lot of stories of spirits that show up sort of like as a warning to some danger or impending doom. So what do you think? Ghost child trying to warn him? Or is Troy just fiddling with us? Now, how can I call this Real Rockford Files if I don't share some real Rockford stories? This took place in Kings Camp in Chain, Illinois, about a 45-minute drive from where I am now, so technically not Rockford, but it's my story still. So me and my 2 nephews, Gio and Christian, wanted to go walk in the trails at night with nothing but a couple of flashlights and a GoPro to see if we can find something spooky out there. We had a lot of scares walking through the trails, but the worst thing happened at the end of it. We walked to the end of the trail and it opens up to a lake, much like the one you're seeing here. And as we're standing on the edge of it, we start hearing this really loud noise getting louder and louder, flying across the lake at us. As it turns to go up into the sky, we see that it's a bat. Not just any bat, but a giant bat, like at least a 5-6 foot wingspan, bigger than any bat I've ever seen. Which quickly turned into 3 bats. 2 of them started fighting each other midair, and then they flew off. Who's ready to trick or treat? My scariest haunting story of all time in less than a minute. Here we go. This took place about 12 years ago when I was still living with my parents and one of my brothers, or a few brothers. It's one big happy family. On this night, they were all around the corner at my brother's house hanging out while I stayed home alone. I was in my bedroom, which is right at the top of the stairs, and I was going to go downstairs for something. So I go around the corner, start walking down the stairs, and then I hear footsteps behind me. And before I could turn around, it turned into running right through me, and I heard scraping on the walls and paint chips flew off and hit me in the face. I was literally showered with chunks of the wall. I stumbled down the stairs, ran out of the house, and I paced back and forth until my family came home. When we went back into the house, the kitchen was all messed up. Tables and chairs were pushed all over the place, and the garbage was dumped out. I didn't touch anything on my way out, so click subscribe, or little Annabelle might visit you. This took place about 12 years ago. I was home, in my room, alone, in the dark, playing my Nintendo DS, trying to get tired and fall asleep, when I thought I heard something to the right of my bed, so I shined the light over, and there was someone standing right next to my bed. I was so scared I tossed the DS straight up in the air, flipped around once, long enough for me to see that this person was all the way to the ceiling, hunched over, impossibly tall. When my Nintendo DS landed, I grabbed it and I held it towards the wall. It was already gone. I shined the light around the whole room to make sure it didn't just move around, and then I booked it out of there. I've had more than a few encounters with this entity that I dubbed the Tall Man, because of obvious reasons. But this was the first time that I saw him. All of them, except his face was still in shadow. Subscribe if you don't fear the Reaper. In October 2003, CCTV footage at Hampton Court Palace in England captured a mysterious robed figure opening fire doors in a corridor, a sight which baffled security staff and gained international media attention. The image shows a slender, dark, cloaked being with what appears to be no visible face, moving deliberately in the palace. Despite investigations, no one has come forward to claim responsibility for the footage, leading some to call it a genuine ghost capture. Others label it a clever hoax. Now, a lot of us have seen this photo before and heard about the story, but there was another photo attached to the story that I don't know about, and I want to know if you guys have seen it before. And that's this one right here. What the hell is this thing? There's a lady standing right here, about, down to this thing's elbows. What is that? Is that just a statue in the palace that somebody else actually knows about? I don't know. The channel where this story came from will be in the description. Don't forget to subscribe. July 31st, 2021, Pender County, North Carolina. A man saw what he thought was somebody bleeding on the side of the road and called the police. Here's the most terrifying part of that call.
And did you saw a man standing on the side of the road? What the? That, sir.
That's not human! That's not human!
Sir, are you okay, sir?
There's something in the bed of my truck!
Okay, what's in the road?
No, it's not in the road, it's in my truck! In the bed!
There's something in the bed of your truck?
Yes, ma'am, I just turned on my bed light for my truck and there's something in my bed.
Okay, sir, when you say something, what do you mean?
I just knocked it
Are
off.
you human? I am also human. Subscribe to my human channel. On August 15, 1950, Nick Mariana filmed two bright silver objects flying overhead, estimated at 50 feet wide and 150 feet apart at high speed, while inspecting a baseball stadium with his secretary. The footage was shown publicly and later housed in the U.S. National Archives. Here's that footage. Here's the footage slowed down, reversed, and zoomed in. Lost the audio while I was editing. I don't know if that always happens, but there should be a narrator speaking right now other than me. What do you think? Also note that there wasn't any military exercises in the area at the time, so why are these two things flying so close together? UFO or UF no? Subscribe or don't subscribe. I don't even care. I'm totally emo. This happened in Cusack, Cantrell, France. On August 29, 1967, a 13-year-old boy and his 9-year-old sister told local police they were watching cows in a field and saw 4 small black beings, about 47 inches tall, who appeared to rise in the air and enter a round spaceship, about 15 feet in diameter, that was hovering over the field. The police noted sulfur odor in the dried grass at the place where the sphere was alleged to have taken off. The children's story is one of the reports of UFO sightings investigated by the French government made public in mass release of documents in March 2007, which received so many hits on its first day that the site crashed. And for clarity, this is what a 47-inch tall being standing next to a 5'7" person looks like. And this is what it would look like if I was only 47 inches tall. Welcome to Real Rockford Files. Got some real Rockford crap for you right here. No electricity. Don't know why. Some kind of outage or something. Must be some new thing they just made up just to mess with me. But anyways, 64 homes without power right now. In the dead of winter. We're all gonna die. It could only mean one thing. The end of the world is here. And here. And also here. Subscribe if this movie gave you nightmares when you were a kid. I had to subscribe for this one. This story took place at 112 Ocean Avenue, Long Island, also known as the Amityville House. In 1975, the Lutz family moved into a house with a gruesome history, just 1 year after a family massacre. They claimed to experience levitations, green slime oozing from the walls, and ghostly children walking through their home. A photograph taken inside the house allegedly shows a pale boy with white eyes peering out from a doorway. Whether it's genuine or not, the story became one of the most famous haunted house tales of modern times. There are plenty of people who think this photo was faked, or that this was a child of somebody who was taking the photos themselves, which they say that was not. The boy in this photo has a striking resemblance to one of the victims, a young boy named John, who looks almost exactly like this one. I still think this is the best photo of a ghost ever taken. Welcome to Real Rockford Files. If you want to see what he looks like, don't forget to subscribe. Thanks for the intro, Chills. In 1814, Sir Stapleton Cotton, a descendant of Sir George, took the title Lord Combermere, and in 1817 became the governor of Barbados. Today, the Abbey is a tourist attraction and hotel. Lord Combermere died in 1891, having been struck and killed by a horse-drawn carriage. At the time Sybil Corbet took this picture, Combermere's funeral was taking place 4 miles away. The photographic exposure Corbet recorded took about an hour. Some people think a servant might have wandered into the room to sit briefly in a chair to create this transparent image. This idea was refuted by members of the household, however, testifying that they were all attending the funeral. A clever hoax, or did Lord Combermere come home? This is my son Jaden. He turns 20 years old today, so let's try to fill the comment section with as many happy birthdays as possible. And naturally, I got a ghost story from when he's a baby. It started just before he was born and continued a little bit afterwards, with the stereo just suddenly turning itself on and cranking the volume all the way up, scaring the crap out of us. This happened within a month of him being born. He was in the bedroom sleeping, separated by a living room, and me and his mother were in the kitchen listening to a baby monitor. We started focusing in on the baby monitor when we heard what we thought it was a woman's voice talking to him. It was quiet, so we got closer, and all of a sudden we can hear him screaming loud, like he's being tortured or something. So I ran over to the bedroom real fast, opened the door, and he's sound asleep like he'd never been awake. I don't know if we caught another baby monitor at that time, but that shit freaked me out. So happy birthday, Jaden, and avoid baby monitors if you can. One flew east, one flew west, one flew over the cuckoo's nest. Rolling Hills Asylum, located in New York, is said to be haunted by the numerous souls who are mistreated within its walls. The most well-known ghost within the walls of the asylum is that of Roy. Roy was dropped off to Rolling Hills at a young age due to his giganticism. He was seen as abnormal, thus shunned away from society to the confided walls of the hills. He grew to be 7 feet tall and lived the entirety of his life at the asylum. Many who claim to have seen his spirit say that he is a very friendly ghost. I suppose this is just Roy playing peekaboo in the dark. In case you couldn't see it, here's a red square to help you out. Personally, I don't see how this one could be seen as a friendly ghost. Gives me too much of the tall man vibes, and he wasn't friendly. So what do you think? This granulated picture show an actual photo of Roy? And now the northern lights have come to Rockford. Weird. And these are some photos taken by my sister out in Chena, Illinois. It's about 45 minutes from here. Now I'm sure a lot of people are wondering the same thing. Why are the northern lights suddenly visible pretty much anywhere? At least seemingly in a straight line from Alaska all the way down to Florida. I jump around a lot in my research on different stuff between the paranormal and astrology, and I keep hearing about all the magnetism being messed up on the planet right now. Between the Earth's magnetism and the solar flares and the solar emissions, 3-eye atlas going by, a lot of weirdness at once. I think this is a sign that the poles have already basically shifted and it's going to gradually start moving the planet to fit that pole shift. And I'm pretty sure for what I've studied up on, that's going to put us right here in the Arctic. Winter is coming. How many times have you seen a spirit while growing up? As most of you can see and read, this is the Coronado Theater, one of Rockford, Illinois' own personal haunted locations where you might see the apparition of a woman in white, the man in the bowler hat, or an elevator going up and down with nobody else in the building. But when I was just a wee little lad, I saw one of my own. It was the late 80s or early 90s. I was on a field trip to the Coronado Theater. We walk into the building, we walk up to the stage, then they walked us up into the stands right around this spot right here, the topmost part, right in the middle of the seats. And while my classmates are staring at the stage, I'm staring above the stage, where I saw this purple orb glowing. Looked a lot like that, but not perfectly circle. It kept changing shapes and started slowly moving back and forth across the stage. I never told anybody about it, none of my classmates, not my teacher. I just remember being really scared. Thanks to modern technology, I finally have a way to illustrate things I've seen with my own eyes but couldn't capture on camera. And as always, please subscribe. It was a hot summer night before 2012 when me and my family saw all these red lights appearing in the night sky outside the house. First thought was obviously, what the hell is that? And as we're watching, they all started to move at the same time, and when they stopped, they made a perfectly straight 45-degree angle line that looked exactly like this. I know a lot of people might be thinking that it's a drone show or just people playing with their drones, but I can prove that that's not the case. Just ask any AI available to you that if in 2012 was it a good chance that multiple people in a poor area would be flying drones that glow bright red at the same time. And when you see that answer, you'll know it was impossible in this poor area in Rockford, Illinois, for them to be drones. My first movie-induced nightmare. Here we go. And don't forget to subscribe if you want to hear more. This dream's a little funny, but bear with me. I was about 7 years old at the time. My two older brothers were 8 and 9. And in my dream, we're working on a car engine in a garage. Weird. All of a sudden, this inchworm started crawling across the engine. And when my brothers just splatted it. Then in the dream, I had to go over to a closet to get another tool, and what I found sitting on the shelf was a My Buddy doll. As I'm watching the My Buddy doll, it suddenly comes to life and starts laughing maniacally. I was so scared in my dream I had an out-of-body experience where I'm suddenly up above my body, screaming at myself to run. And I'm sure you've guessed by now what movie caused this nightmare. And to make it worse, at the time I had a My Buddy doll, which is a story all of its own. What movie gave you your first nightmare? Let me tell you about the night I'm pretty sure I ran into this big mamma jamma right here. And don't forget to subscribe. It was around the year 2010, and I was walking out of town to go become one with nature, live in the forest with all the creatures and stuff. Spoiler alert, I didn't last one night. When the sun was heading down, it got dark real fast out there, so I ducked off into the woods. I gathered up a pile of sticks, poured a little bit of lamp oil on it so it'd burn easier, and I was getting ready to flick my lighter. Then a tree, about the thickness of the one in this image, started swaying back and forth rapidly as something was climbing down it. It reached the ground, I could hear it trampling stuff as it came right for me, then it just stopped. After about a minute of being paralyzed, thinking I was about to die, I finally flicked the lighter and lit my fire, and there was nothing there. Never will I ever camp in the woods alone again. With AI UFO videos on the rise, it really makes me appreciate the old photos a lot more. In January 1958, a research ship near Trinidad Island reported a disc-shaped craft approaching the coastline. A photographer on board, Almiro Barana, snapped a series of photos showing a clear saucer-shaped object above the water. The Brazilian Navy publicly confirmed the photos were authentic at the time, and the images made national news. Skeptics later questioned the story, but no definitive hoax was ever proven, leaving the Trinidad photos among the most debated real UFO images ever taken. Well, if the Brazilian Navy confirmed it was authentic photos, why am I going to doubt it? So you think it was a real flying saucer or an elaborate hoax in 1950? I think this one might have been real. And as always, subscribe for more. Peace. I woke up not feeling too well today. So here's a story about a guy who wasn't feeling too well after his close encounter. In May of 1967, a man named Stephen Michalek was prospecting near Falcon Lake in Manitoba, Canada, when he saw two glowing oval craft descend from the sky. One of them landed on a nearby rocky outcrop. Curious, Michalek approached, thinking it was an aircraft in trouble. He said the craft was metallic, smooth, and hot to the touch. When he leaned closer, a blast of scorching air erupted from a grid-like vent on the side of the object. The force knocked him backward and set his shirt on fire. Michalek suffered nausea, burns in a perfect grid-like pattern, and unexplained physical symptoms for weeks. Investigators later found radioactive debris at the landing spot with no natural source in the area. And to this day, this is one of the most well-documented cases in North America, with evidence that the skeptics can't deny. After this story, if you saw something unexplained in the woods, would you go up and touch it?
Hey, you. Yeah, look at me. Right here. Subscribe. Okay?
At Ohio University's Wilson Hall, room 428 has a reputation so unsettling that the university permanently sealed the room and no longer assigns it to students. In the early 1970s, residents on the floor reported constant knocking on the walls, objects moving by themselves, and loud footsteps pacing inside room 428, even when it was empty. One student claimed she woke up to see a shadowy figure standing at the foot of her bed, a tall man with no facial features. Reminds me of somebody. The most disturbing report came from a student who practiced occult rituals. She believed something answered her. Shortly afterwards, she was found badly injured in the room, insisting a dark presence attacked her. Eventually, Ohio University boarded the room shut, and it remains inaccessible to this day. Visitors still claim they see a silhouette move behind covered windows. Now, when I say my channel deals with the paranormal, supernatural, and the flat-out unbelievable, here's the real unbelievable. With two eyewitnesses, one being myself, and I'd swear, and I'd take any polygraph to prove it. It really happened. This happened on a summer night around 2005 and 2007. My younger brother and I were standing in the backyard talking about whatever happened throughout the day. He was about 12 years old at the time, maybe a little younger. We were standing there, and all of a sudden, something started coming our way in the sky. And that's when we saw something moving through the sky coming towards us, right over our neighborhood. It was the size of a football field, shaped like a football field, with a light in each corner and a brighter light right in the center. And it slowly, very slowly went over our neighborhood. That day, I expected an invasion or somebody to at least say, hey, they're here. But nothing. It seemed like nobody else saw it. That's the wildest thing ever. And in about 15 seconds, it was gone. Subscribe if you can name 3 African countries. In the deep forests of West Africa, stretching from Benin and Togo to Nigeria, people tell stories about the Aziza, mysterious little beings said to live in the trees, ant hills, and thick brush. They're not monsters and they're not ghosts. They're something older, something between the natural and the supernatural. Hunters say the Aziza move like shadows, too small and too quick to fully see. Some report hearing tiny footsteps, laughter, or feeling like they're being watched from roots of giant silk cotton trees. Others claim they were guided, led safely through dangerous forest paths, or shown where to find water or game when they were lost. Per tradition, the Aziza are forest guardians, and whether they help or hide from you depends on how you treat the land. Elders say they reward respect and punish arrogance. There are no photographs, no modern case files, only centuries of consistent stories passed from hunter to hunter, village to village. Have you seen the Aziza?
It's a pretty good zombie you got there. I like turtles.
In the rivers and swamps of rural Japan, people tell stories about a creature called the kappa, a small humanoid being said to lurk beneath the surface of freshwater streams. Descriptions are remarkably consistent. Green skin, webbed hands, a turtle-like shell, and a strange bowl-shaped dent on its head that always filled with water. According to the legend, the water is the source of its power. For centuries, children were warned not to go near deep water alone, claiming the kappa waited to drag the unwary into the river. Some stories describe it as mischievous, throwing stones, stealing food, mimicking voices to lure people close. Others paint a darker picture, a creature strong enough to drown livestock and sometimes people. But the kappa has one weakness: honor. If a human bows to it, it's forced to bow back and spills the water on its head, and it loses all of its power. Even today, Japan posts kappa signs near dangerous waterways. Subscribe for more. Well, this one will prove that some folklore is way creepier than others. In the Philippines, especially in quiet rural provinces, lurks one of the most feared shapeshifters in Southeast Asian folklore, the Aswang. During the day, the Aswang looks completely normal, like another human, talks, smiles, goes to work. But at night, the Aswang changes. Oh, wow. Some versions say its body splits at the waist, the lower half stays hidden while the upper torso grows bat wings and flies into the darkness, searching for prey. And its main target is pregnant women. It slips its long, thin tongue through windows or roof cracks in order to drain the life of the unborn. The people describe a strange trick. The Aswang's wing flaps sound louder the farther away it is. The quieter it gets, the closer it's become, a way to trick you into not running. So if you're planning a trip to the Philippines, don't cross the rural pampas of Argentina and parts of Uruguay. People report a strange and terrifying phenomenon known as luz mala, the evil light. Witnesses describe it as a glowing orb, usually bluish-green or white, hovering low over the ground at night. According to local folklore, the luz mala is the restless spirit of someone who died violently or was buried improperly. People claim the light behaves intelligently. It follows travelers, it drifts closer when approached. Sometimes it vanishes instantly when someone tries to touch it. Other times it darts directly at them, causing overwhelming fear and nausea. For generations, gauchos warned each other never to follow the light. Some insisted it would lead you deep into empty plains and you might never find your way back. Modern skeptics say it might be methane gas or bioluminescent insects, but gauchos have a different answer. No gas follows a man for 2 miles. Unless he had the chili. It's not a bunny, and it's not a turnip. It's a bunyip. Deep in the wetlands of Australia, Aboriginal stories warn of a creature that lurks in the billabongs, a mysterious predator known as the bunyip. For centuries, people described it in wildly different ways. Sometimes like a massive seal-like beast covered in slick fur. Other times as a reptilian creature with leathery skin and glowing predatory eyes. But no matter how the appearance changes, one detail never does: the roar. Not a natural animal cry, but a deep, rumbling bellow that vibrates across the water, shakes the reeds, and sends ripples racing toward the shore. Farmers once said their livestock would panic all at once, breaking fences or bolting from the water's edge, as if something unseen was rising beneath the surface. Old settlers claimed they heard that roar echoing through fog-covered swamps at night, long after every known animal had gone silent. Whether or not the bunyip exists, nobody's ever proven what's making that sound. Stay off the moors. Stick to the road. We may have an American werewolf in America? I found this video with no context and I have no idea where it takes place. But I definitely know that it's one of these guys, or one of these guys. What do you think? Here goes. Don't forget to subscribe. Out of about 40 years of watching movies and TV, this was always the scariest one ever. The Haunted tells the story of the Smurl family, an ordinary Pennsylvania household whose quiet life is shattered by a terrifying series of paranormal events. After moving into a duplex home, the family begins experiencing strange noises, foul smells, and shadowy figures creeping through the hallways. But things escalate quickly. Objects move on their own, family members are scratched or shaken awake at night, and an unseen force seems determined to tear their lives apart. Desperate, the Smurls reach out to famed demonologists Ed and Lorraine Warren, who investigate the home and confirm the family is dealing with a powerful demonic presence, not a simple haunting. The entity becomes violent, attacking the parents, tormenting the daughters, and even impersonating family members to sow fear. Ever since I was a toddler even, I can't hear the name Janet without thinking of that voice saying it, and it's the freakiest thing ever. Janet! Watch the movie and you'll know what I mean. And, Gitchy Salatu. I'm on a scary movie kick this week, so here we go. 1978's The Manitou. A young woman named Karen Tandy discovers a strange, fast-growing tumor on her back, but doctors soon realize it isn't a tumor at all. It's a living fetus, which turns out to be the reincarnated body of Miss Gramacus, an ancient Native American shaman who gains more power with every rebirth. Desperate, Karen seeks help from her former lover, Harry Erskine, a fake psychic who suddenly finds himself dealing with the real supernatural. He teams up with a powerful medicine man, John Singing Rock. As the creature is born from Karen's back, Harry and Singing Rock attempt an exorcism-like ritual that becomes a massive psychic battle. I don't want to tell you how it ends, but just know, if you watch this movie for the first time, immerse yourself. Complete darkness, no phones, no talking. It will scare the living crap out of you. Now here's a movie that'll make you not want to watch your neighbors at all. Or it'll make you want to watch them a little more closely. Welcome to Fright Night. For real. I always loved that line. Charlie Brewster is a teenager who's convinced that his next-door neighbor, Jerry Dandridge, is a vampire. At first, no one believes him, not his girlfriend Amy, not his best friend Evil, and definitely not the police. Desperate for help, Charlie seeks out his childhood hero, Peter Vincent, the great vampire killer, or so he played in TV. And though Peter Vincent doesn't really believe in vampires, that quickly changes. And eventually the two must infiltrate Jerry's house in order to rescue Amy, before she turns into a vampire completely. This movie's a pretty good blend of horror and comedy, and you gotta love that 80s vampire look. Look at those freaking teeth. Itsy bitsy spider crawled under my butt. You'll get it in a minute. Here's some video footage I recorded about 10 years ago. I was playing a computer game in the dark at night, sitting on the floor right in front of it, much like this little sit up here, you know, like I'm sitting like on the floor right there, just chilling. Had to go to the bathroom, got up to go, and when I came back, this was sitting in my spot. What I just cut, crawling next to me on the floor. Big motherfucker. Boop, boop. Look at this sucker. Eee. It was a hunter spider or a funnel web spider. Can't tell which. They both kind of look the same. Usually you only know a funnel web spider when you still see it sitting on its little funnel web. But anyways. When I came back from the bathroom and saw that thing sitting right where I was sitting, it freaked me out. I was like, was it sitting under there the whole time? Or did it just crawl there after I left? Hopefully after I left. After this movie, the static between channels was never the same. Played by Michael Keaton, Jonathan Rivers is a successful architect whose wife mysteriously dies in a car accident. Soon after, a man contacts him and tells him that his wife, Anna, has been trying to contact him through electronic voice phenomenon, also known as EVP. Jonathan is skeptical, but when unexplained messages and eerie recordings begin showing up on his TV and computer, his grief turns into obsession. He joins a small group that studies EVP, and he starts hearing Anna's voice more clearly, pleading for help, warning him of danger and guiding him towards helping people in trouble. But Jonathan eventually discovers that not all spirits communicating through EVP are friendly. Some are violent, predatory entities that use electronic signals to manipulate the living. When Jonathan follows Anna's warnings, he finds himself pulled into a deadly confrontation with forces that want him silenced forever. So give it a watch and click subscribe. Now here's a famous one. On the night of March 13, 1997, thousands of people across Phoenix, Arizona reported something impossible in the sky. Just after sunset, a massive formation of glowing lights appeared above the city, slow, silent, and arranged in a perfect V-shape. People watched from their yards, street corners, and even had cars pulled over on the highway. Some said the craft was so large it blocked out the stars as it passed overhead. Others described seeing 5 or 6 lights moving together, perfectly synchronized as if they were attached to one gigantic triangular structure. Multiple photos and videos were taken that night, showing the same eerie V formation. The military later claimed the lights were flares from training exercises, but witnesses disagreed. They insisted the flares were dropped later after the huge craft had already moved across the city. What they saw was solid, silent, and unlike anything known. Now let's put that flare theory to rest. A flare here and a flare here. The empty space between them shouldn't be able to block out stars. In June 1966, Reverend Ralph Hardy, a retired Canadian priest, visited the Queen's house in Greenwich, England. Inside, he admired the famous tulip staircase, a beautiful spiral lined with ornate wrought iron. Hardy decided to take a photograph of the staircase from the ground floor, looking upward. He saw nothing unusual at the time. The staircase appeared completely empty. But after returning home and developing the film, one image shocked him. Standing on the stairs was a faint, transparent figure of a robed woman, holding the railing with both hands. She looked as though she were slowly ascending, captured mid-stride, yet no one had been present when the photograph was taken. Experts, including photographic specialists from Kodak, examined the negative and reported no evidence of double exposure, tampering, or trick lighting. My only issue with this story is the description of the ghost itself. It doesn't look like it's slowly ascending the stairs. It looks like it's holding onto the rail and being pulled backwards. What do you think? There once was a ship that put to sea. The name of the ship was SS Watertown. In December 1924, two sailors aboard the SS Watertown, James Courtney and Michael Meehan, were killed in a tragic accident while cleaning the ship's oil tank. After a brief burial at sea, the crew continued their voyage. But only a day later, sailors on deck reported seeing two ghostly faces floating in the water, keeping pace with the boat. The apparitions weren't brief flashes. They remained visible long enough that multiple men witnessed them, describing them as clear human faces watching the ship silently. The captain ordered that a camera be brought on deck, and a photographer took this photo. Out of the photographic experts that looked at this photo, it's a split decision. Some say there was no tampering. Others say there's obvious signs of airbrushing. What do you think? I think they're freaking creepy. Well, I haven't had a good real scare in a while, so here's what just happened. It's cold as hell out tonight, so I was hanging out at my brother's house and decided to walk home. I bundled it up so I didn't get too cold. That's not what the problem was. I got about 3 blocks from his house, and there's this biggest coyote I've ever seen, just like a couple houses in front of me, standing there looking around back and forth on the road. Somehow he didn't see me while I just stood there like a statue and went past a house where I couldn't see him. So I start walking again, and by the time I get around the house, there's 3 or 4 of them. So I just kept on walking fast and steady and just kept my eye on them to the side. They didn't look at me at all for some reason. Something on the ground had their attention, but scared the living crap out of me. These were huge coyotes. I've seen them in the city before, but that was the biggest over and out. State parks are a whole different animal after dark. Now this one, a friend of mine from work told me about a buddy of his. Happened a few years back when his friend, we'll call him Sergey. Sergey worked at the Rockford Park District. And one night when he was working at Atwood Park, for whatever reason, I don't know if he's meant to like check the trash in the area or something, but at Atwood Park after dark, when there's nobody supposed to be there, he goes around and checks the trash cans, and the first one he gets to, looks inside, there's a raccoon head, no body. He goes to another can, another raccoon head, no body. He finds another, you guessed it, a couple of raccoon heads, no body. By the end of the night, he found at least a dozen raccoon heads in garbage cans by themselves with no bodies to be seen anywhere. Either we have a cryptid in Atwood Park that likes to decapitate animals, or a real sick individual. It's a deer dog! And don't forget to subscribe, please. A couple of years ago, one of my brothers was on vacation in Texas with his wife and their kids. And they were driving to South Padre Island. They were driving on a road that looked a lot like this one at night when my brother saw something coming over the embankment on one of the sides of the car. When the headlights hit, he started yelling like, "Dog, deer," because he couldn't tell what he was looking at, as it came up over the embankment and hopped right back where it came from. Only him and one of my nephews saw it, but he swears that it had the body of a deer, but the head of a dog. Now, my brother wanted to say he saw a chupacabra, but I've never seen one described like this. But I have heard of other creatures that do things like this. I'd say a skinwalker or just a misidentification. Has anyone else near South Padre Island or near it ever seen anything like this? It's just birds, they say. Perfectly normal. You see it every day. What do you think about this next clip? Now here's some footage of a cloaked object in the sky, recorded by 5 different cameras in the UK and Cornwall. And people are trying to say this is birds. I've seen birds flying in groups, making cool patterns and stuff. But look at this one. Look at the closest one coming up. I think it's after this one. What birds keep taking up the exact same shape that is symmetrical on both sides from 5 different angles at 5 different times? Because there's no way that these people were all recording at the exact same time. It's just not possible. Still think it's birds? Okay, I was a bit of a problem child. When I was younger, between the ages of like 3 and 9, I used to go outside my neighborhood and catch garter snakes all day, every day. Aren't they adorable? My favorite spot to catch them was the house down at the end of the street. It was closest to the river, nobody lived there, and the backyard was always overgrown with all kinds of junk laying around. I could flip over and find tons of garter snakes. I'd catch so many sometimes that I'd fill up an entire fish tank full of them, where they'd just be crawling all over each other, and then they'd escape in the middle of the night and drive my mom crazy. But then I started catching all these brown garter snakes. I thought they were really neat. A little more aggressive than the other ones, but I'd still pick them up and play with them. Just like the one you see here. And it was years later when I found out what I was playing with. They were water moccasins, also known as cottonmouths. Very venomous, and I never got bit once. Well, I hope everybody enjoyed their Christmas. Well, I'm going to tell you about something that happened to me a few Christmases ago when I was in New Orleans. This happened in the year 2020, I think 2021. We were on vacation in New Orleans, me, my brother, his wife, my cousin, and my brother's 4 kids. So there's a big group of us walk into the hotel, and we get our room. Some people go to the elevator, and the rest of us got the keys to the stairwell. We were going to try to race them up the stairs. So we head over to the stairwell, start going up it. There's 3 of the kids in front of me. One of the boys and 2 of the girls are in the front. A lot like this one. As we're going up the stairs, I'm looking at my nieces, and they're walking right behind somebody, but so close that they're almost stepping on their heels. After we went to the door at the top of the stairs, I was about to start yelling at them about being rude, being so close to that guy. I'm like, didn't you guys see that dude in front of you and stuff? Like, you're going to step right on his heels. And there was nobody there. I'm the only one that saw him. Hey, little Red Riding Hood, you sure are looking good. You're everything a big bad wolf could want. Yeah, I know, I can't sing, but whatever. Today we're going to examine some photos of a dog man, also known as a werewolf. I don't know where these images came from. You could probably find them faster than I can. Shows what looks to be a dog man or werewolf type creature emerging from a cave. In the comment section of these photos, I'm seeing people saying it's a starving bear, and they're naming every kind of badger known to mankind. I've never really been a true believer of the dog man / werewolf stories, but look at the arms on this thing. Does it look like a bear's arm? And if this was a starving bear, why is its head so small? Wouldn't it be this starving little creature with this big old head? All he requires is man's red fire to make his dreams come true. I just made that up myself. Okay, that was a lie. Anyways, this story is said to have taken place at a private zoo or research facility sometime in the late 20th century. A night security guard was making his usual rounds near the primate enclosure when he noticed something unsettling. An orangutan standing upright, staring directly at him. Look at the creepy glare on this one. As the guard watched, frozen, the orangutan slowly raised one finger to its lips, as if signaling for silence. Then, according to the story, it leaned closer and spoke clearly in English. Nobody will ever believe you. This story is most likely an urban legend since it doesn't have any actual details. It's just been passed around by word of mouth since the 90s. But if it did really happen, one thing holds true. The orangutan was right, because nobody would believe it. I've had spirits put their hands on me before, but never like this before and never like this again. Hopefully not again. This happened more than 10 years ago, around the same time as the tall man incident, when something grabbed me in the living room, right in front of my mom and one of my brother's girlfriends. So we're hanging out in the living room. My mom and one of my brother's girlfriends are sitting in chairs next to each other. I'm standing in front of them while we're talking. Then right in the middle of our conversation, something grabs me by my hair on the back of my head. And I've never had this happen before where it felt like something had grabbed each and every single solitary hair on my head and just yanked me straight down to the ground. I crumpled straight down. I didn't tip over sideways. I didn't get dizzy and fall over. Just yanked straight down at a weird angle to where my knees were all bent up and I just looked like I'd been smashed to the ground. It was probably a few days later when I got chased out of the house. Has something like that ever happened to you?
In these conditions is all kinds of fogged up. So since Christmas Eve or Christmas Day, there's been a strange fog everywhere, here in Illinois included. And I'm pretty sure I know why. I recorded it the day before Christmas Eve. Let me show you. When I recorded that, I figured they were doing that seed in the sky with that silver nitrate stuff, trying to make it snow for Christmas. But instead, we just got a weird fog that gives you like a residue buildup on everything. What's in this stuff? What about where you're at? You're getting the same fog? And when the fog's done, is there a weird film or residue left on everything outside? So who remembers the one time NASA accidentally showed us what's really going on out there? Remember the tether incident? Check it out. The NASA tether incident refers to the STS-75 space shuttle mission in 1996, when a 20-kilometer electrodynamic tether was deployed from the shuttle to study how electricity flows through Earth's magnetic field. The tether snapped and cameras recorded dozens, if not more, UFOs swarming this thing. Look how some of them are pulsating. It's 20 kilometers long. So it tells you the size of some of these things going by. Like that last one was freaking huge. Have you heard any legitimate explanations for this yet? I think there's really only one explanation for this. They be lying about what's out there, man. We're not alone. In August 1990, two men hiking above Cavan, Scotland, claimed to see a diamond-shaped craft hovering silently in the sky. They say it lingered for about 10 minutes, during which one of them took 6 photographs of the object before it shot straight up and vanished. Later, the original negatives and prints were submitted to the UK's Ministry of Defence. Analysts reportedly found no obvious signs of forgery, and the case was marked as unexplained. To this day, the Cavan photograph is touted by some UFO researchers as one of the best UFO pictures ever, though skeptics argue it could be a misidentification, optical illusion, or alteration. So what do you think? Alien tech or man-made hoax? Something about that little fin on the end there makes me suspicious, but pretty cool nonetheless. Don't forget to subscribe. I've had some videos that I've wanted to update for a while when new information came to me. Here's one of them. There it is. I caught it again. You see that right there? That's my name. I'm not connected to this thing, nor have I ever been connected to it. How does it know I'm in the room? I've seen it multiple times, only when I'm in the room. How does it know I'm in the room? It knows too much. That was May 11, 2023. And since then, I've discovered a lot about these Alexas and other smart devices and stuff. For one, that particular Alexa and all the other ones like it, they can communicate with other smartphones in the room and stuff, so that's why it knew that I was in the room. It's basically chit-chatting with my phone when I'm not giving it permission to. So most people know nowadays that, yeah, when you talk around your phone out loud or these smart devices that have microphones on them, you'll get suggestions for the stuff that you talk about. It's always listening. But they also read your mind. How do they read your mind, you might ask? Well, let me tell you. You see, if you have a device that measures how much electricity your body's taking in, okay, and you hold on to it and you'll get a certain level of it, you know, the normal human body amount of electricity, and then you put your phone in your hand and you'll watch that number jump way up. Why is your phone
putting electricity into your body. Okay, I think it's because it's sending signals to your brain, or it's going there and it's picking up thoughts. Well, I shouldn't say I think, because it's definitely to the point where I know this is what it does. Because you can hold your phone in your hand, think about something that you haven't thought of in years. Think about something that you haven't talked about out loud with anybody. Think about it real hard. Maybe just pick a random celebrity name that you almost never think about, and just say the name over and over in your head a couple of times while you're holding your phone. Guarantee you check throughout the day, whatever you were just thinking about, it's going to pop up either on YouTube or Google or whatever, social media fits your fancy. Go ahead and test it out. I'm never wrong. Except for that one time where I was like totally wrong, but we're just going to pretend it didn't happen.
If you enjoyed these stories, don't forget to click like. If you want to support my channel, please share it with your friends. If you want to hear more, don't forget to subscribe.